Hey, good morning. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic. My name is Mike Avery, so it's actually Mike Behind the Mic here on a Wednesday morning, checking in from the Outdoor Magazine radio studio, here to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show on a snowy morning in my neck of the woods, and supposed to get even snowier as the day goes on. Of course, if you live in the northern part of our state, that is the state of Michigan, you probably won't see much at all. Cliff, good morning. How are you? John, nice to have you along with us as always. But if you're in the southern part of our state, Brent, good morning, buddy. Craig, nice to have you along with us. Scott, always a pleasure. If you live in the southern part of our state, you're supposed to get dumped on. Bruce, how are you? Of course, you never quite know, right? The Armageddon of snow, the Snowmageddon that they're predicting. We'll see. It does appear we're going to get it a little bit. Butch, appreciate you being with us. Johnny, Mad Jack, Logan, Ed, are you back in? Yeah, you're down in Florida. I can tell by your comment. He said, "Good morning. Not snowing here." Yeah, because you're down in Florida. And Ed, I never did hear back from the folks that we've been talking about. Jeff, nice to have you along with us. Jerry, checking in from Algonac. I'm here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio to record this week's show. No, you're home. Oh, you are home. Brian, good morning. How are you? Somebody else jumped in there I didn't get a chance to say hi to. It's my goal to say good morning and hi to as many people as possible. Hey, Jim, I didn't see you sneak in there. How are you? Jen, I've been following your progress. You guys are really doing a great job there. Jason checking in from the Fort Dearborn truck plant. Butch says he thinks about 5 inches of snow there in Lansing. Johnny Buller says, Mike, what day is it? It's Groundhog Day. Mark, Jerry says, what day is it? Steven says, what snowy day is it? Good morning, Barbara. How are you? Brian, nice to have you with us as well. Mike, what day is it? It's hump day. Jim says, Mike. We've kind of turned this into its own little bit, haven't we? Scott says, no shadow today. Tim says he hates groundhogs. They're very unreliable. You'd hate groundhogs if you had a dike or something, too, because they're going to dig the thing up. If you got a predator problem, I'll put you in touch with my friend Scott. He's turned into a predator killing king. Speaking of predators, are we going to have a wolf hunt? Montana, read the wolf hunting people complaining about shooting wolves that wandered out of Yellowstone. I had a meeting earlier this week with the folks from MUCC. And it's amazing how this topic of a potential Michigan wolf hunt is resonating with people across the state. Some people, of course, want it. Others don't. In the radio show today, in fact, in the second hour, we're going to talk with a guy who knows wolf hunting very well. He's up in White River, Ontario, Canada, Daryl Godden, and he guides wolf hunters. I have hunted up there before. I want to talk with him about wolf hunting. Good morning, Dan. How are you? John says after February 12th, it can hit 60 degrees and melt all the snow and ice and get in the open water. Why February 12th? What's the date there, John? Strange question from someone who's in Louisiana. No, it's not a strange question at all, Barbara. Not at all. Do people eat wolves? No. People, not for the most part. Hey, good morning, Lori. How are you? And of course, then this leads to the whole conversation of why kill something you're not going to eat, which I get. I grew up in a family where ice fishing derby. Okay, I grew up in a family where you only killed something if you were going to eat it, and so I get that. I understand that way of thinking. But as I've learned to better understand wildlife management practices, I realize that sometimes you need to harvest animals and control populations, even if you don't intend on eating them. And that's where I put wolves. Good morning, Joe. How are you? Joe says coyote backstraps aren't bad. Joe, we got another list, by the way. We got another list. We're ready to rock again. And I suspect your name will come up and be written down in the write-in ballot once again. Stephen, good morning. How are you? Tim says he thinks the wolf decision should only involve the people in the counties that have them. Johnny would know. Johnny says because they're killing everything up here. Johnny lives in the heart of wolf country there in the UP. It's interesting. I don't. Obviously, I think we need a wolf hunt. Will we have one soon? I don't know. It's going to come down to whether the governor, the NRC, the DNR director, whether they have the will and the fortitude to fight for one. Good morning, Jim. How are things in Hersey? Larry, good morning to you. And why should there even be a fight, right? Why should there be a fight over something that makes biological sense? Because social science plays a role, because the anti-hunters are out there and they have this warped perception of reality. I feel like all the anti-hunters probably grew up watching Walt Disney and they never evolved from that mindset, from that perspective. Marysville checking in. Bob, good morning. How are you? Are there many wild turkeys in the UP, Brian? It depends on where you are in the UP. There are turkeys in every county in Michigan. Joe says it's about money. How so, Joe? Expand on that, if you would. Joe says it's about money. Mike, what did I miss last night? I got a message that you were doing something and you never came on. Nothing, Mad Jack. Yeah, sorry, is it a little too loud? Okay. I actually did a test last night and I didn't go live with it. So it's interesting. Hey, Tim, how are you? Tim says, now don't go bringing some common sense into this whole thing. You were laying low out there, weren't you, Tim? Because I didn't know you were here till you made a comment. I was going to go live. I know I was doing a test last night and didn't hit the go live button, but apparently, Mad Jack, it sent you a notification anyway. You didn't miss anything. Johnny says, we've had talk before on this, Mike, and a hunt would make sense so animals could be monitored instead of not being laid out of the rot. Craig says, awesome bear video. Tim says you had a live feed reminder on YouTube last night. Gotcha. Hey, thanks for the comments on that bear video, Craig. I thought the bear video out of White River turned out pretty well. Yeah, I was pretty happy with it. It was an interesting piece because I pulled in video from my phone, from my drone, from my camera, from Facebook Live, from the radio studio, and kind of melded them or edited them all together. And I thought it turned out kind of cool. Plus, I came home with a bear. So it's a win. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. Okay. Welcome to February, by the way. It is Groundhog Day. The weather, of course, a big topic of discussion today. It's been Lori says only one ticket left for the Trinity fundraiser as of yesterday. Well, as of today, it's sold out. Martin, is that Crossbow Martin on YouTube? You usually check in from Facebook, or is it a different Martin? Good morning, Ross. How are you? Ross, I've got your buddy Daryl Godden on the show this week in hour number 2 to talk about wolf hunting. As long as I'm on this topic, this week's radio show rundown, my first guest, Bob Hines of Central Coast Angling, he's still fishing open water up in the Traverse City area. I got to expand it so I can see it. There we go. I could just give up and wear cheater glasses, but that would then acknowledge the fact that I'm old. And I refuse to acknowledge that fact. So I'll just squint a little bit and expand my screen so I can see it. A different Martin. All right, Martin, nice to have you along with us. Appreciate that. John says, your show last week was very good. Well, thank you, John. I appreciate that. Every once in a while, I luck out and put a good one together. Paul is a landowner in the Yup, saw 5 wolves while snowmobiling off a trail 7. Wow. Paul says he's not a Karen from Oakland County. Okay, here we go. He enjoys seeing them, but the numbers are out of hand. He thinks the residents and taxpayers should decide on a hunt, not a Karen from Oakland County. Gotcha. Mad Jack says, great video. Lori says, almost missed you. It's only 7:45 here. Ross, when are you going up? A couple more weeks? Anyway, Bob Hines talks about the fact he's still open water fishing out there for perch, burbot. Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News will wrap up the opening hour. Then Daryl Godden, as I say, talks about wolf hunting in Ontario, where they've been doing it for a long time. I shot a nice wolf up there a few years ago. We'll talk about that. Not my hunt, but we'll talk about wolf hunting. Then Sergeant Richard Cardenas of the DNR talks about licensing of snow machines, including a question about if you have property on a lake and you only take your snow machine out on that lake, there's Daryl right there. You only take that snow machine out on the lake. Why does it need to be registered? Good morning, Daryl. Looking forward to talking to you, buddy. And then this week's Ask Avery segment talks about smoking fish and wild game. I'm going to bring in Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand Meats. Who knows that topic better than Nick of Michigan Brand Meats? And in hour number 3, we'll talk ice fishing with Jake Romanak. Jake, son of Mark Romanak. Mark and Jake, probably the best known father and son fishing team in Michigan. Lori's heading down to Arkansas to do some snow goose hunting for a couple of days. That sounds like fun, Lori. And we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Miner. Lori mentioned the Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner. We are basically sold out. We're sold out. I do not have a link for you yet on the online auction. We've never done one before, so Deidre's doing a wonderful job putting this together, but she doesn't have a link for me yet. Johnny says, are we booked for the Ohio hunt? Only if you have called Bill or texted Bill or emailed Bill and locked it in, Johnny. Marty checking in from Florida. Yeah, that week is a go. That week is a go. Third week in October this year, I think. Last week we had comments about crawler picking. How about frog hunting? Oh, I used to love that too, Brian. Used to love that too. Walking down the edge of the creek with a spear and spear those frogs, cook up those frog legs. Yeah, talk about a cool thing for a kid to do. And they're great. Frog legs are great. Good morning, Carl. Nice to have you along with us. Ice conditions across much of the state are very, very good. Jeff says he's been watching a local peregrine falcon out back. Pretty cool bird. Bigger than I thought. Enjoy the snow. Where are you seeing the peregrine, Jeff? Where are you seeing them? That's very interesting. Yeah, they are cool birds. And they're actually smaller than what I thought they were. We all have these perspective of how big these raptors are, like eagles and such. Johnny says, I know pretty much all of us, but 2 have talked to Bill. Craig says Bill has his deposit. Johnny says maybe 3. Frog gigging. There you go, Lori. Lori, is Brian coming down with us this year, Lori, to Ohio? I certainly hope so. And it'd be good if Brian comes because he doesn't take up another room because he could probably sleep in your room, right? Good morning, Gene. How are you? Nice to have you along with us. Gene checking in from Apex Marine, the parent company of Angler Quest Boats in St. Louis, Michigan. In my opinion, the finest big water fishing tri-tune that you'll find in existence today. And I'm looking forward to open water season. Walleye for Warriors is in place this year. Do it. As a kid, we used to catch crayfish and cook them up. You're not hearing me, Pat? Oh, there we go. Okay. Crayfish, yeah, crawdaddies. Scott making a private comment to Lori. Lori says, yeah, we can share rooms. He won't let me sleep through the alarm. All right. Just getting another text here from another pastor about where we're going to have a meeting. Trying to find a pastor for Trinity Monitor. It'll happen. It'll happen when it's supposed to happen. What else? Did you get your turkey season application in? I posted the deadline there online. People says, why? I'm just giving the DNR $5 they don't need. It's just amazing to me how a significant percentage of outdoorsmen and women in Michigan hate the DNR. For whatever reason, they hate the DNR. All right, Ross, go sell some trucks. Wednesday Night Live. We were going to do a Wednesday Night Live the first Wednesday in March at the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch. Rob says, good morning, Mike. Saw you in person recently. We were shopping with your wife, so I didn't say hi. Well, Rob, next time you see me, please say hi, because if I'm shopping with my wife, I'm going to be looking for some relief because I'm not a big shopper. So, yes, please say hi, Rob. and nice of you to say hi here this morning. We are not doing that Wednesday Night Live in March. Maybe, hopefully, we can resurrect the ones later in the year. But what it comes down to is the fact that people don't want to work these days. Fred says, Walleye for Warriors, just heard the captains will sign up in March. It should be held June 11th and fish the 12th. It is June 11th and fish the 12th. Can't wait for spring me too. Keep an eye on the website, walleyesforwarriors.com, walleyesforwarriors.com. Even though there is no such word as walleyes, the website is Walleyes for Warriors. I did look grumpy. Not surprised. Yeah, the plural for walleye is walleye. So there is no Wednesday Night Live. George says he does not hate the DNR. A lot of people do, though, George. You and I both know that. So no Wednesday Night Live at the Lumberjack in March because they can't get people to work. What is it? And when I got to be honest, Eaton Rapids. Thank you, Jeff. When I see people, and I'm being very cold-hearted here, when I see people or hear people say, I just can't find a job, well, you're not looking very hard. Everybody's hiring, trying to get people. I know people personally, business owners, friends of mine, that are having such a hard time getting people to work. They say they beg people to come to work for them. They offer tremendous packages, a lot of money, and they'll get 5 people. They'll hire 5 people. This is an example. They will hire 5 people. And once they're hired, 3 of them will actually show up for work. And if they're lucky, of those 3, 1 will still be there a week later. They just don't have the work ethic of Pat Johnston, that's for sure. Because Pat's here all the time. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Tim says he was in Gaylord last weekend, $21 an hour. Don't tell me you can't get a job. Exactly. Lori says they're going to do some sightseeing today. The Corvette Museum. Cool. Bass Pro. Cool. Mac Prairie Wings. Cool. I'm just not a waterfowl hunter now, Lori. I you know that, and I appreciate the tradition of waterfowling, and I get that, but I just don't get it as something I want to do. I know, Tim. So anyway, because the Lumberjack, the people at the Lumberjack, and they stressed this to me. They said, Mike, the people who are working for us now are hardworking, wonderful people. And they give us their all, but we just don't have enough of them to pull off a Wednesday Night Live. I figured you were talking McDonald's there, Tim. Because we wanted to, the only option was, and I'll be honest with you here, the only option was to do it as a buffet. And I didn't want to do it as a buffet. I think we And the folks at the Lumberjack and the folks at the Forward Corporation have set the bar high that you want to walk in there and want to be able to order something off their menu and enjoy that experience. So the idea of doing a buffet, I thought would diminish from the experience, and I don't want to do something half-heartedly or half. Pick your word, right? If you're going to do it right. Exactly, Tim. The people who are out there working are getting burned out. Jerry's kicking back in Poseyville, watching the snow, waiting for more. Sherry, that Facebook post or message you sent me the other day was interesting about playing the bones. Very interesting, and pretty cool. All right, in 1 minute here, I'm going to start. Me and Pat are going to start recording the radio show. And I will not be able to interact with you directly, kind of as we're doing here right now. Meaning if you say hi, Mike, or ask me a question, I will not be able to acknowledge you, and I apologize for that. But I'll be turning my attention to something called the Outdoor Magazine Radio Show, a little thing we've been doing for 20 years or so, actually more. But if you join me tonight at 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live, we will be able to have a conversation. We will be able to interact and shoot the breeze and go back and forth. And I would encourage you to do that. That'll be on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, not Instagram, unless I get really ambitious. Good morning, Mike. How are you? If I get really ambitious and set up a second device, we'll be able to go to Instagram. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. I got ahead of myself. 3, 2, 1. Blast off. Jim checking in from the Y in Bay City, the YMCA. Good morning, Jim. How are you? Any update on the Wolf survey and informational conversation? Well, what was it? The House Conservation. There was some movement in Lansing where some legislators approved the idea of a wolf hunt. It's not a law yet. I mean, it's going to be a while, but I think we're moving that direction if the governor and the DNR and the NRC have the heart to fight for it. All right, I got to go, my friends. Have a great day. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine Radio Show here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network. So glad to have you along with us as we continue our weekly 3-hour adventure into the history and tradition of this wonderful outdoor lifestyle here in the great state of Michigan and occasionally beyond. We talk about hunting, fishing, shooting, trapping, wildlife issues, conservation issues, even some wild game cooking, and I'm glad to have you along with us. If this is your first time, I really appreciate it. If you are a long-time listener, I thank you for that as well. Welcome to the month of February. Phil, did Phil see his shadow, Pat?
Yeah.
He did. Okay. More winter. Which is just what we need, right? More winter. Although it depends on your perspective. I get that. And the weather, as we are sitting here in the studio right now, the weather is a big topic because we record the show midweek. This is not a surprise. And the reason we record midweek is so we have time to get the show out to the distribution sources, so we can get it up on the satellite, we can get it on the FTP site, so our affiliate stations can download it and air it for the weekend. When I was on a previous network years and years ago, we did do the show live on Saturday mornings, and it was the network repeated it Sunday mornings, which was nice for making the topic more timely. And it was actually easier to do it that way because you did it once and walked away from it. However, it really put a crimp on my weekend activities, and it really got in the way of summertime fishing. So I'm glad that we do it the way that we do. So as we are recording midweek, as I look out the window, yeah, it's snowing a little bit here in my part of the world, but the forecast calls for a lot of snow. Now, did we get it or not? You will be able to tell me by the time you hear the show, right? And I feel like the more hype that a storm gets, the less snow we're going to get. Oh, you could get anywhere from 6 to 18 inches, and maybe it'll blow, and maybe it won't, and maybe it'll last 2 days, and maybe it'll last 2 hours. No offense to my meteorological friends, my meteorologist friends, but it's all just a guess, right? A scientific guess, but a guess. I go back to the days when my grandpa would walk out on the front porch of the house, and he would smell the air, he would feel the wind, he would feel the direction of the wind, the temperature, the ache in his bones, and he would base his weather forecast that he was creating for himself on Mother Nature or the Farmer's Almanac. These days, I want to know what the weather conditions are or what the forecast is. I grab my phone and pull it up. We as a society, maybe me as an individual, have just gotten so far away from being in touch with the real world, with the natural world, with the critters and with Mother Nature. And every generation that I've observed in my life has moved steadily away. Again, I go back to my granddad. I mean, he was in tune. He was a farmer, he was a hunter, he was a fisherman, and he was out there every day in Mother Nature. And he knew so much about it. He knew so much about hunting and fishing and trapping and shooting and the weather. And he passed that down to my dad. And I bet my dad would, well, in fact, I think my dad did tell me when he was still around that he didn't know as much as his dad did. And my dad passed things down to me. And I'll guarantee you I am not as in tune or as knowledgeable about such things as my dad was. I know more about technology than he did, but really, what good does that do me, right? I think we need to strive to stay in touch with what really matters. And, that's going to vary from person to person, family to family. What is important in your family culture? Faith, family, hunting and fishing, the outdoors, the real world, the natural world. And that's why I stress getting out there in the natural world. Get outdoors. Feel the wind in your face. Feel the snow coming down. Get cold. Get uncomfortable. Put yourself in a situation that you don't have control of. In today's world, we are so used to immediate gratification, and things happen according to what we as humans want. And use your phone as an example. Pick up your phone. When you look at it and press a button, it responds. And it does what you want it to do. And it gives you the information you want. And we get this false sense of how we are important because we can control the devices in front of us. Get away from that. Get outside. Get on the water. Get on the ice. Get in the woods. And pick up an activity that you don't have control of. Mother Nature doesn't care about you. She doesn't care. She's going to do what she wants. The deer, the walleye, the turkeys, the bear, the panfish, they don't care about you. They're going to do things the way they need to do things. And if they let you enjoy that experience and let you into their world for a few hours, then it's just a blessing. But I believe we as a society, we as families, we as individuals need this contact with the natural world more than ever to reset our frame of reference, to remind ourselves that we are not the most important thing in the world. That's why I love the outdoors. That's why I love this outdoor lifestyle. And I would encourage you to get out there as much as you can as well. And I say that knowing full well I'm being a little bit of a hypocrite because this time of year, I don't spend that much time in the woods or on the water or on the ice. I don't. I saved that all up for spring and summer and fall. Oh, ice conditions are pretty good across most of the state, though, right? I mean, we're having a good ice fishing year. Did you get your application in for your springtime turkey hunt? And listen, before you say, Avery, why? Let me just follow up on this. Let me explain what I'm talking about. Yes, it's true that with the advent of Hunt 234 and ZZ, which really don't sell out, and some of the other areas don't sell out, it's not as critical. It used to be in Michigan, if you wanted to hunt turkeys in the springtime, you had better apply for those limited quota hunts, or you weren't going to get a bird. You weren't going to get a chance to hunt a bird. Not so much anymore. But I always put the reminder out that if you want to hunt in one of the limited quota, limited seasons, that it's not a bad idea to spend the $5 and make sure you can lock it in. Yes, if there are leftover tags, you can buy one. But I love turkey hunting so much, I'm just not going to take the chance. It would absolutely break my heart if for some reason ZZ sold out because a bunch of people were turkey hunting this year and I wasn't because I was too cheap to spend the $5. I value turkey hunting too much to risk it on $5. And when I put out a reminder, hey, don't forget, if you want, apply. This is your deadline. Oh, I'm not going to give the DNR that. It's amazing to me how a significant percentage of hunters and anglers in this state absolutely hate the DNR. Hate the DNR. And I get it. The DNR is a big government bureaucracy. I don't like government bureaucracies, but I don't hate the DNR. I don't like everything they do. I don't like the way they are managed sometimes. I don't like their lack of will sometimes. For example, a wolf hunt. And I'm not talking about the biologists. I'm talking about the powers that be. Get the fortitude to fight for things. Don't worry about, how are the anti-hunters going to perceive this? Well, just do it. A sandhill crane hunt. Oh, the antis are going to fight it. Who cares? So I don't, I'm not a fanboy of the DNR. I don't dislike them. I think overall they do a great job, and I think the field people, for the most part, do a wonderful job. How did I get down that rabbit hole? Coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show after the break, Bob Hines of Central Coast Angling. He is still out there on open water up in the Traverse City area. Then Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News. In hour number 2, we are talking wolf hunting with Daryl Godden, a friend of mine from White River, Ontario. They hunt wolves up there. Let's talk about what a wolf hunt could look like. Then Sergeant Richard Cardenas of the DNR. This week's Ask Avery segment talks about smoking fish and wild game. So I bring in my friend Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand Meats. He knows that inside and out. And then hour number 3, we're talking ice fishing with Jake Romanak of Fishing 411. And we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Miner. That's coming up this week right here on Outdoor Magazine. The problem with veering off on something like that is I bring it up and I go down this train of thought, and then I realize I kind of run out of time to really explore it, like my comments about the DNR. But there will be opportunities. There will be future opportunities. I will probably sit at this microphone again. I will probably do a Wednesday Night Live or a Behind the Mic again, and I can follow up on it. All right, my friends, have a good day. And snow's coming down pretty good. So have a good day. I'll see you tonight, Wednesday Night Live. Stay safe. The website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. The email address, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com.